F. Scott Fitzgerald said, begin with an individual and you find that you've created a type. Begin with a type and you'll find that you have created nothing. If you want to hear some bad characterization, then go to the funeral of a man who never went to church. Probably the first funeral I ever went to when I was a kid, it was for a very special neighbour of mine. He was like a grandfather to me. As Mr. Baxter was named, we all called him Backy. And he was a lovely man, but he wasn't a churchgoer. But his widow ensured that he had a church funeral. Now, probably the last time Backy had been in church was probably for his wedding, but a church funeral it was. So the poor minister had a problem because he had to say all the words about this guy, but he never really met him. So he said something like, James was a kind and gentle man, a loving husband, and a well-respected neighbour. He was polite and friendly, and about this point his widow turned from the pew in front and said, what is he talking about? That doesn't sound like my James at all. So the question we're left with is, how did the minister's description become so vague that this man's widow couldn't even recognise him? I guess the problem was he didn't really know Backy. Well, I did, and how would I describe him to you? Starting with an individual. Well, I can start by saying he was a degenerate gambler. He was really terrible with the horses, and his wife had banned him from the gambling. But I remember as a kid going in, he used to just have his front door open. We could walk in and out as much as we wanted. And I remember going into his front room there, and the horses would be on, and John McCrick could be previewing the runners and riders, and then he'd be getting all excited with Backy, and he'd be going, go on, run, you stupid donkey, run, and stupid donkey. That living room, oh, I'll never forget it. We used to spend so much time there. He'd just let us come in, sit down, watch TV. He had he'd been a good golfer when he was younger, and he had these trophies up on the mantelpiece of this fire with that little electric fire with 3 bars, and even like in the height of summer, you'd go in there and be 2 bars glowing red on that old fire. And he kept an allotment. That was how we first got to know him, because we used to play in these allotments, and all the other guys would shout at us and throw things at us and stuff, but he'd come and give us a job to do and stuff. He was brilliant like that. And he grew potatoes, raspberries and rhubarb, and that was it. I sort of suspected that the only reason he kept the allotment was to have somewhere to smoke his pipe. See, you couldn't write a grandfatherly character these days who was smoking a pipe because it's too much of a cliche, but he did smoke a pipe. And I will never forget the smell of tobacco smoke mingling with grass cuttings, you know. If I smell that now, it's like a Proustian moment. It takes me right back to childhood. It's enormously powerful. But yeah, that was all he grew: potatoes, raspberries, rhubarb, and that's all he'd eat. And when we used to be allowed to have our tea around there sometimes, and he'd if we got served anything else, I remember him like shuffling it around the plate, you know, moving a bit of beetroot away or something, like as if he was playing a board game. And then as we got older, he got older and his health declined, and he couldn't keep his allotment anymore. And that's another smell I remember. He was banished to smoking his pipe in the bathroom, and I remember the smell of tobacco smoke wrestling with all the lavender air freshener and potpourri, another very powerful smell for me. And as I say, he'd been a good golfer, and he taught me how to swing the golf clubs, you know. He had these old heavy wooden golf clubs with leather twined round the handles, and he used to take me down. There's a field out the back where we lived. He used to show me how to do it, and he'd demonstrate one. I swear he was old and arthritic by this time, but when he struck that golf ball, it honestly seemed to discover flight. It seemed to go as far as it could possibly go, and then go wings and soar even further. And he'd smile to himself and light his pipe. And I remember that, the golf thing, I remember that because the hospital, the last hospital, the one in which he died, you could see the field from the window of his room. And I remember that this is the thing, when you're a kid, you don't know, you don't have any perspective. I didn't understand like why everyone was gathered, you see, and obviously I know now to say goodbye to him, all his family and the neighbours and everyone. He was that popular. And I didn't, you know, and I kept, I couldn't understand why he wasn't talking back to me, why he wasn't responding, and I kept pestering him, and I was going on and on and on. And it was his daughter which gave me like 20p or something. He said, go and wait out in the corridor. And I remember sitting out, in my memory it's very dark in this corridor, and there was a vending machine. I bought a Lion Bar. And I sat out there, and that was the last time that I saw him alive. Now, absolutely none of that's true. There never ever was any such person called Backy or Mr. Baxter or whatever. I completely made the entire thing up. But the point is, I made you believe in it. Hey, I made you believe in it, and the way I made you believe in it was by giving that character context. Things, I believe in things. Heavy wooden golf clubs with leather twined round the handle, and an electric fire with 2 bars glowing in the summer. Piece of beetroot being shuffled round a plate. Characters can't exist in abstraction from their being in the world. The key to bringing your characters to life is giving them context, a world to interact with. Imagine you're auditioning an actor for the part of Hamlet. Actor enters stage left. It's just an empty stage, no props, no scenery, no other actors, and he pauses there thinking that, you know, maybe you'll read Horatio's lines and get him started, but you don't. Undaunted, the actor launches into a soliloquy that he's memorized. He says, oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve. And you say, no. Stop with the talking. I don't want you to do the talking. I just want you to be Hamlet. All right, he says, okay, he says, he thinks you want to inspect his stage presence, so he starts striding up and down the stage, his gait intended to be that of a man both vengeful and brooding. And you say, no. Don't do the talking, don't do the walking, just be Hamlet. Okay, thinks the actor, a bit confused now, and so he just stands there and tries to arrange his countenance into his most Hamletesque appearance, brooding and vengeful. And you say, oh, come on, mate, I've got a sense of humour, but seriously, we need to get there. Stop mucking about. Stop with the talking, stop with the walking, stop with the funny face, just be Hamlet. And finally, the poor actor tries to convey his complex reading of the play through telepathy, at which point you say, well, sorry, mate, that's rubbish. It could be anyone. It's impossible. Hamlet can only be Hamlet by saying the things that Hamlet says, by doing the things that Hamlet does, by interacting with the other characters, by wearing the appropriate costume, by handling the appropriate props, by standing in front of the appropriate scenery. It's exactly the same with writing characters. You have to give your characters stuff to do, you have to give them objectives, and you have to give them a world to interact with. If you don't, then they'll only end up being some vague type, a good neighbour, a loving husband, something like that. Thanks a lot for watching, and good luck with your writing.